A tranquil farm town is turned upside down when a frantic 911 call sends local police scrambling for answers.
I need an ambulance. Someone is bleeding.
He was shot at close range. A kill shot.
Nobody knew what happened. Nobody was saying anything.
It really hit me hard. It really, really hit me hard.
Homicide detectives are hard-pressed to nail down a suspect.
She observed a male, black, heavyset, with dreadlocks fleeing from the location.
They had no success finding anybody that matched that description.
Until a slew of damning details break the case wide open.
She said, yes, she is a whore and that she had been sleeping with one of his friends.
She was always angry. She was mad and pissed off with everybody.
You could tell he was fighting some type of demon.
This wasn't her first rodeo.
Stay away from crazy-ass women.
February 8th, 2021. Ryan, Iowa. Life moves slow in this small Irish-founded town, renowned for its peaceful farm life and tight-knit community.
Ryan, Iowa is in the eastern part of Iowa, approximately 400 residents. It's only about maybe 6% black.
It's a place where everyone knows everyone and it's kind of very familial and very full of community.
You might have some thefts. Maybe somebody's cow got stolen out there or some crops gets taken, but you don't have much violent crime.
So it comes as a complete surprise when an urgent 911 call rings into the local sheriff's office around 1 a.m.
Delaware County 911, what's the address of the emergency?
It's not me, it's my neighbors downstairs. Somebody just got shot.
And just as the operator prepares to send deputies to the apartment complex, another panic call comes through.
It's the neighbor of the previous caller. She identifies herself as 33-year-old Danielle Weiner.
I need an ambulance. Someone is bleeding. They were shot in the face.
She relates that her boyfriend has just been shot, but he's still breathing.
I'm trying to keep him alive.
Okay. So do you have pressure applied to the wound?
Yes, we're pushing on the wound and to keep him alive.
She's very frantic, and while the dispatcher is trying to kind of talk Danielle down, the dispatcher then asks Danielle to check for a pulse.
Can you feel for a pulse?
It's hard for me to feel because I'm panicking. Please hurry.
Danielle's boyfriend, 27-year-old Devon Khalil Harasuelo, had an unwavering compassion for others.
Devon was one of the most sensitive people you would ever meet. He had a big heart. If he ate, you ate. He never cared about what you can bring into the plate.
Devon was my firstborn. He looked out for his sisters, his brother. Devon was always a big brother.
He was the one you went to when you needed advice.
Growing up in a modest single-parent household, Devon always strived to make his mother proud.
He always wanted to look for the next form of growth. If it was his mental well-being, his physical well-being, even with his spirituality.
Eventually, Devon began fostering ideas of running his own business.
He was into wanting to do his own stuff, be his own boss. One day he's making t-shirts. Other day he's going to the store, the thrift stores, buying books. Going back online, selling the books.
We would discuss how we can make some money, start some businesses. He's one of the smartest people I've ever met. And we always both used to tell each other, one day we're gonna change the world.
On his way to changing the world, Devon still liked to have fun.
When it came to Devon and women, he was a little bit of a playboy at times because Devon was radiant. He can walk into the room and the attention was on him and he wouldn't be trying for it.
He brought a girl home and next thing you know, you don't see her no more. You see a different girl next time. So you never see the same girl twice.
He wanted a woman that he didn't have to take care of. I mean, his mom was a strong, independent woman.
And when Devon reconnected with a childhood friend, 33-year-old Danielle Weiner, he thought he'd found just what he'd been looking for.
She was a friend of the family. I think she used to babysit him.
Danielle was 6 years older than Devon.
My daughter and her daughter went to school together. They sat on the bus together. They were each other's friends.
To Devon, Danielle seemed like the strong, persevering woman he desired in a partner.
Danielle had 2 teenage daughters and was a single mom who was kind of getting her life together.
She was in school pursuing a business administration degree and also working 2 jobs.
Before long, their friendship turned romance blossomed into a full-fledged relationship.
Devon moved into Danielle's apartment.
He was helping with the bills and taking care of the kids. That was Dee's thing, was always wanting a family.
And before long, their family began to grow.
Danielle found out she was pregnant.
Devon was so excited to have a child of his own.
Last time I saw him, we all went out, had a big old barbecue. Danielle, her kids, her mom, dad, everybody was there.
But now, Devon is clinging to life with a gunshot wound to the face.
Danielle actually calls into the police to report that her boyfriend has gotten shot.
I'm trying to keep him alive.
She tells them, I was in my bedroom asleep and overheard him arguing with another man, and then there was a gunshot.
After the gun went off, she saw Emil fleeing from the front door.
It was a black guy. He had dreads.
Black male with dreads?
He was stocky. Yes, he was stocky, and they were arguing outside, and it's blood everywhere.
As Danielle remains on the line with 911, first responders arrive at the apartment.
Can I hang up the phone? He told me to hang up the phone.
Yep, that's fine. We can hang up.
Okay.
Bye.
Okay.
They see the victim laying on his back. He's in the hallway. He has an obvious gunshot wound to the left cheek.
First responders rush to Devon's aid.
But when they go to check his pulse, they come to a grim realization.
They're too late. Devon is dead.
At 27 years old, Devon Harasuelo was on his way to achieving his dreams with his girlfriend, Danielle Weiner, by his side.
He was a go-getter. He taught you how to follow both paths and to make a plan and execute that plan.
Devon and Danielle were expecting their first child together, and he couldn't wait to become a father.
But now the couple's bright future has been shattered after Devon is shot and killed inside their apartment.
When I got the phone call, it was Danielle. I'm thinking, what could she possibly have to say to me, at 2 in the morning? She told me that Devon had died. Just like that. I'm like, what are you talking about? And she's saying it again. She just said he was scrapping with this guy and the guy shot him. It really hit me hard. It really, really hit me hard.
I didn't believe it. Nobody knew what happened. Nobody was saying anything. It was just that he wasn't there.
In their search for answers, police turned to the surviving victims, Danielle Weiner and her 2 teenage daughters.
They needed to find this person quickly before there was another victim.
So they were asking her, do you know what direction he went in? Was he on foot? Did he have a vehicle?
Unfortunately, Danielle is only able to provide the same basic details she gave the 911 operator.
Danielle related to the officers that she was in the bedroom. She had heard an argument with some person at the front door.
The next thing that she knows, a gunshot goes off.
Danielle said that as she ran to the front of the apartment, she only caught a glimpse of Devon's attacker.
She observed a male, black, heavyset with dreadlocks fleeing from the location. She saw her boyfriend had been shot in the left cheek and was laying on the floor.
She wasn't sure if the shooter was on foot or in a car, and she certainly wasn't able to give a description of any vehicle.
And Danielle's teenage daughters, who were also home at the time, don't have any clues for deputies.
While this is happening, her kids are in the house. They're all asleep.
They didn't see the shooter. They didn't hear anything.
Yet even with little to go on, police are hopeful their target will be easy to track down.
Frankly, this is a primarily white community out in the middle of Iowa in the cornfields, and a large black male with dreadlocks would stand out. And if he's on foot, then there's a good chance that they would see him traveling.
So they send out as many units as their town can in order to search for this person.
Try as they might, however, deputies' hopes are soon dashed.
They had no success finding anybody that matched that description.
And police know that if the person that they're looking for left in a car, they're long gone.
As officers continue searching for the mysterious assailant, homicide detectives arrive at the crime scene to take a closer look around the home.
The first thing that they notice is that the front door is intact.
The front door was not kicked in, nor was the lock jimmied.
There wasn't anything to indicate that there was forced entry or that somebody had broken into the apartment.
Devon was shot at close range, and he was hit in the left cheek, a kill shot, which means there was little chance of survival.
They also noticed he had different scratches and scrapes, like he had got into an altercation.
The one glaring detail immediately stands out to them.
He was not positioned at the front door as reported by the dispatcher.
Instead, he was lying in the hallway near the kitchen.
Also, his pants were down, his arms were up above his head, and his coat has been pulled up as if he was dragged to that location.
There was blood marks that also correlated with that he was dragged down the hall.
As they follow the trail of blood, detectives make a startling discovery.
As they approach the bedroom, there is a pool of blood.
They find blood splattered all over the room and on a laundry basket nearby.
That leads him to believe that this was the original crime scene.
Devon was shot in the bedroom and then moved towards the front of the home.
Which contradicts Danielle's statement.
You try to give a witness the benefit of the doubt. The adrenaline's going, and the heart rate and everything like that. They're nervous, they're afraid.
But these are some pretty big inconsistencies.
Has Danielle been lying to them?
I just miss it as a mom. His corny jokes, his laugh, just him being around, basically. I keep his pictures on my refrigerator. So when you go to the refrigerator, you gotta look at it, right? And every time I do something, I think about him. When we were at the repast, I had a chance to be around some of his friends. And everybody had a story about how Devon touched their life. And that really touched me a lot.
Police in rural Ryan, Iowa are investigating the murder of 27-year-old Devon Harrisuelo after he was brutally gunned down inside the apartment he shared with his girlfriend, Danielle Weiner.
According to Danielle, the stocky black male shot Devon shortly after an argument broke out.
But while examining the crime scene, investigators have uncovered crucial evidence contradicting Danielle's statement.
They're seeing a couple things that were a little unusual. She's telling him he was shot at the front door by this offender.
but there's a big blood spot in the bedroom, and they see that there are marks that looks like this body was drugged after the fact.
All the physical evidence so far seems to point to the crime scene being, in fact, in the bedroom.
And the bloody bedroom isn't the only evidence pointing to their new theory.
Police find a single 9mm shell casing by the bed.
They also observe an open safe in that bedroom with a gun holster and a 9mm clip.
Additionally, police notice a suitcase by the bedroom door.
It looked like it was being prepared for someone to leave.
There's blood on the floor by the closet, and they found that there was a mop, which looked like it had been used to mop blood under the door.
It's almost as if somebody's trying to clean up the crime scene.
Has Danielle been lying to police all along?
After they've collected all the evidence and went over everything, they obviously knew Danielle could possibly had some part in the situation or was covering for somebody.
But since Danielle's 2 daughters were asleep when the murder occurred and didn't witness anything, the next person detectives want to speak with is Danielle's neighbor, who also dialed 911 that night.
As we know, we've got 2 911 calls in pretty close succession, and the initial caller is the upstairs neighbor.
Detectives ask the neighbor to walk them through everything she remembers.
The neighbor said shortly after she put her kids to sleep, she heard a car door slamming.
Then, she heard 2 voices arguing downstairs.
There was some banging.
She heard somebody saying something to the effect, "Oh, my eye, you hurt my eye," or "My eye is bleeding."
Then she heard someone saying, "Get out of my house."
But suddenly the voices stopped.
And then she heard the gunfire.
The voices you heard, were they male or female?
Well, one was male and the other was definitely female.
Detectives have to wonder, did Danielle shoot Devon?
A number of things obviously have to go through your mind, but it's a little too early in the investigation to make any conclusions.
However, they obviously knew Danielle wasn't telling the truth, and at the end they decided to take her in for more questioning.
With doubts at an all-time high, police must ensure Danielle isn't concealing anything else.
As they get ready to go to the police station, the police ask Danielle to step out of the patrol car and begin to do a body search.
They searched her purse, they searched her body, and they found nothing on her.
However, before Danielle gets back in the car, something catches their eye.
Under the blanket that Danielle had been using to keep warm, now they notice the glint of metal.
Much to the police's surprise, it was a gun, and this just simply blew the police away.
And in fact, there's blood on the barrel of this handgun.
That gun was a 9mm semi-automatic handgun, the same type that killed Devon.
During the investigation into the shooting of 27-year-old Devon Harasuelo, Iowa police have made an alarming discovery in his girlfriend Danielle Weiner's possession.
They find a 9mm gun on her, the same type of gun used to kill Devon.
This just simply blew the police away. We now have a murder weapon found in the back of a patrol car.
Wait, I can explain.
You can explain it down at the station.
They're not messing around with Danielle anymore. She's taken into custody at this point.
Back at the station, homicide detectives sit down with Danielle.
There is a myriad of questions, so many unanswered questions, but it appears that Danielle's story at this point is falling apart at the seams.
However, detectives now face a new problem.
She went from giving the story and giving all the details to being completely uncooperative.
Danielle doesn't want to answer any questions, and she refused requests to swab her hands and clothes for evidence.
She went as far as trying to take a cup of water to wash her hands, which would wash any evidence off of her hands.
But when detectives lay out the evidence against her, they hope Danielle will have a change of heart.
Hey, informer, we got police officers out here, at risk out here searching for this suspect that you indicated, this large male black with the dreadlocks, and so far there hasn't been any location of the suspect.
It's clear now that the story she told about an unidentified man shooting Devon was just a lie.
None of the evidence that they found in the home matches what she told detectives.
There's a 9mm shell casing in your bedroom. There's a safe with a holster. There's a 9mm clip.
And the more evidence that contradicts her story and things just don't line up, the more she gets nervous and squirms.
Under the growing weight of the evidence, Danielle cracks.
She tells the officers, okay, you know what? I'm ready to cooperate. I'm gonna tell you what really happened.
When it was bad, it was really bad.
She then tells the police that the relationship with Devon wasn't always roses.
For 5 years, they had dated on and off, enduring all types of highs and lows over the course of their relationship.
And when the low was low, she said it included not only emotional and verbal abuse, it included physical abuse.
According to her, he had gotten violent in the past with her on numerous occasions.
Though for a while, things seemed to be getting better.
Danielle said that after she'd gotten pregnant, Devon was much happier. They were both looking forward to having a child.
But 4 months later, tragedy struck.
Unfortunately, Danielle miscarried and lost the baby. And according to her, Devon went into a downward spiral.
She said that the abuse had gotten worse ever since she lost the baby about a month ago.
Danielle described to the police that when he drank, things got even worse.
Nobody was coming to her rescue.
Danielle says that when Devon came home last night, she could tell he had been drinking a lot.
And he was so out of control, according to Danielle.
Danielle said that she tried to talk to Devon about his behavior, but Devon wouldn't listen.
Devon called her a whore, a bitch, all types of other derogatory names.
She said he just became more belligerent, leading to the point of saying, I'll kill you and no one will find you in the cornfield.
In that moment, Danielle decided to fight fire with fire.
Out of anger, Danielle sarcastically said, yes, she is a whore and that she had been sleeping with one of his friends.
Danielle says that's when things took a turn for the worse.
She said he punches her so hard it knocks her glasses off.
Danielle said she told him that he needed to leave, but he tackled her.
She related that he had covered her mouth and nose, prevented her from breathing.
At that point, to defend herself, she had plunged her thumb into his eye socket and it allowed her to break free.
Danielle says she hoped that'd be the end of it, but Devon was relentless.
At some point, she managed to roll from up under him and run to her bedroom.
Once they got in there, he punched her, which caused her to fall across the other side of the bed.
According to Danielle, it was almost like Devon was possessed.
She did not even recognize who Devon was. There was a level of rage and anger and fury that kind of didn't look like the other times in which they argued.
She was for sure that he was trying to kill her. But then she remembered that the safe was open.
She says she had only one decision left to make: to live or to die.
Danielle says she managed to get a hold of the gun and fire off one shot. And that was the shot that hit Devon in his cheek.
But when she shot him in the face, she was even in shock herself.
She said she didn't even mean to shoot him in the face, but she didn't have her glasses on to see where she was aiming.
Danielle says she flew into action and dialed 911.
I need an ambulance.
Then, realizing that he was seriously hurt at that point, she really panicked, started trying to render aid to him.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep him alive. He has a pulse.
Danielle says she drugged him from the bedroom while she was on the phone with 911.
She said that she needed more space to administer first aid, so she moved him to get more space.
But if what Danielle's saying is true, why didn't she tell officers this version of the story when they first spoke with her at the crime scene?
They asked her if it was, straight self-defense thing. Why didn't you say that at the beginning?
She said she was scared and didn't want the police to blame her for what happened.
Historically, within the Black community, you kind of have this love-hate relationship with the police and this distrust.
Black women are the least likely to be believed when it is a situation in which the police are involved in general.
Ultimately, she just made a bad decision at the spur of the moment.
Danielle admits that's also why she acted so strangely after being searched.
That's the reason why she didn't want police to swab her hands and she hid the gun.
Though when it comes to the mop and smeared blood in the hallway, Danielle claims she has no idea what happened.
Danielle said that she wasn't the one who tried to mop up the blood. The cleanup job at the crime scene, Danielle doesn't have an explanation for that.
Detectives are skeptical of Danielle's version of events.
Police decide to keep her in custody as they continue trying to verify her account.
And some of her statement does check out.
Danielle does have scratches and bruises on her face as well as a busted lip.
So obviously there was some type of physical confrontation.
Devon's autopsy also lends credence to Danielle's statement.
They found out that his blood alcohol level was very high.
It was more than double the legal limit at 0.162%.
But when Devon's family comes to speak with them, investigators realize there's much more to this case than meets the eye.
The family claims that the motive in this case was not self-defense. It was jealousy.
His ex-girlfriend showed up 2 weeks before he passed. 2 weeks later, he's gone.
Murder suspect Danielle Weiner has just admitted to shooting her younger boyfriend, Devon Harasuelo, in self-defense. But when detectives sit down with Devon's family, they say Danielle can't be trusted.
When investigators started talking to the family, they depicted their relationship in a completely different light.
They asked me about him being abusive to women. I said, Devon, he doesn't hit women.
He doesn't believe in hitting women. He's quick to walk away more than anything.
The family explains ever since Devon met Danielle, he'd been a shell of himself.
If you look at Devon before he met Danielle, he was this confident, radiant man.
Life of the party, I'm having a blast, everybody wants to be around me. And then all of a sudden, now he's showing signs of depression.
Christmas, didn't see him. New Year's, same thing.
I want to say 1.5 years. He was gone. It wasn't him. That's not him.
He let his hair grow. He wouldn't comb it. He would sleep on my sofa for like days. And he wouldn't change his clothes.
Something was not right. He didn't shine. His light, he was dark. I told him, don't go back. I said, you're not happy. I said, this ain't you. You could tell he was fighting some type of demon.
According to Devon's loved ones, Danielle was known to have a short fuse.
Even though Devon never told me if she was abusive, I truly believe she was destructive.
She was always angry. She was mad and pissed off with everybody. Not just everybody, the world, her situation.
I remember hearing her over the phone one time yelling at him because he couldn't make it to be by her, something along those lines.
Supposed to act like a lady. You're not supposed to want to fight. She always want to fight everybody.
In fact, Devon's mother has her own theory behind her son's murder, and Danielle's role in it.
I believe the argument was about him leaving.
According to his mother, Devon had even met up with an old flame.
His ex-girlfriend showed up 2 weeks before he passed. And they went out, hung out for a while. 2 weeks later, he's gone. I think she found out about it, that them two were hanging out together, or maybe he wanted to leave and go back with her. I don't know. But whatever the case is, I do believe that played a part of it.
The family claims that the motive in this case was not self-defense. It was jealousy.
So who's telling the truth?
Is this a self-defense case, or is it a cold-blooded murder?
Women lie, men lie. Everything boils down to he said, she said. Who can tell the best story?
While Danielle sits in custody, it gives detectives more time to examine the clues laid out before them.
They put together a detailed timeline, and suddenly, one detail is staring them in the face.
The neighbor reported hearing a gunshot around 1:12 a.m. But Danielle didn't call 911 until 1:19 a.m.
Detectives realized that Danielle waited about a good 7 or 8 minutes before calling 911 after Devon was shot. Did that give her time to come up with the story about the male intruder?
It was a black guy. He had dreads.
Black male with dreads?
Stocky. Yes, he was stocky.
But that's not the only detail investigators uncover that isn't sitting right with them.
Danielle was about to leave town for 6 weeks for job training, and she was going to leave her kids with Devon.
Which kind of didn't make sense to them.
I mean, if I was afraid of someone, I certainly would leave my children in their care.
None of this lined up with Danielle's depiction of Devon being a monstrous, brutal man.
It's a huge red flag for investigators, especially when they compare it to their next discovery.
They were finding out that, in fact, this wasn't her first rodeo.
She stabbed an ex-boyfriend and sent him to the hospital.
Iowa detectives investigating 33-year-old Danielle Weiner for the murder of her boyfriend, 27-year-old Devon Harasuelo, have just learned this isn't Danielle's first run-in with the law.
They found that she actually had a prior case where she had stabbed her ex-boyfriend. Now, she didn't acquire any charges because, like this situation, she said that she was in self-defense.
Did Danielle follow the same script after the attack on Devon?
She knew what to say to, hey, I can proffer a self-defense thing here.
She manipulated the crime scene. We caught her lying.
These type of things are beginning to add up and stack up against Danielle.
And the most damning evidence of all comes straight from Danielle's mouth.
They started listening to her recorded phone calls as she was locked up, to her friends, family, and even to the kids.
Danielle is methodically crafting her self-defense case and coaching her children on what to say to police.
She made reference to her kind of aligning her story with the evidence that was presented.
She refers to Devon's body as the item, as she tells them what to say in court if they're asked to testify.
Danielle even scolded one of her daughters over the phone for talking to police.
To detectives, this doesn't sound like an innocent woman telling the truth.
These are things that someone in distress doesn't do, whether it's a mistake or not.
It sounds like a liar trying to get her story straight, to get her off the hook for shooting Devon.
At this point, detectives have little doubt that Devon was murdered in cold blood.
So they went ahead and charged Danielle with first-degree murder, and her bond was set at $1 million.
For Devon's family, Danielle's arrest is a bittersweet development in the case.
It was very painful. Very, very painful. Because it's a person that I knew. She was around my kids, around her kids, you know. So it was very hard for me. Very hard.
And when the case goes to trial on April 25th, 2023, it's far from a slam dunk.
With no eyewitness or video, there is nothing proving that Danielle lied about what happened that night. Prosecutors focus on building a powerful circumstantial case against Danielle and proving to the jury that she is nothing more than a liar who has repeatedly told lie after lie after lie.
And they agree with Danielle on one fact. The night of February 7th, 2021, a heated argument sparked everything.
What prompted the argument is still unclear, but there was an argument.
They could have been arguing about the fact that Devon was seeing his ex.
It all came to a head when Danielle told Devon to get out of her apartment, which explains the open suitcase on the bed.
But he was prepared to leave. He wasn't fighting her. He wasn't attacking her.
Prosecutors say Danielle could have simply let Devon walk out. But in a rage, she turned violent.
Danielle opened the safe and took out her 9mm handgun.
And that's when she shot him.
The prosecution asserts Danielle fired the killing blow not in self-defense, but as an act of rage.
It took 8 minutes for her to even call the police, and by the time she called the police, she already had a story.
Then she tried to hide evidence. She tried to clean up the crime scene.
In a surprising move, Danielle takes the stand in her own defense.
She was saying such things like he hit her, beat her.
She tried to make him to be this monster who battered her and did all these horrible things to her.
However, prosecutors argue Danielle's self-defense story is a cleverly calculated response.
She lied to the police on several occasions, and as a result, it was very cut and dry. She's not credible.
I know this. If she did it to save her own life, she would have said so in the beginning.
She meant to shoot him. And if your purpose was to shoot him, your intention was to kill him.
As both sides rest their case, it ultimately comes down to one question. What will the jury believe?
It only took a couple of hours for the jury to come up with their decision.
In the end, the jury decided that she was not guilty of first-degree murder.
With first-degree murder, there typically has to be a level of premeditation. She's plotting in her head, hey, I'm gonna trick them into coming into the apartment, and then I'm gonna kill them.
However, just because the crime wasn't premeditated doesn't mean Danielle isn't guilty.
They did find her, in fact, guilty of second-degree murder, which doesn't necessarily have the elements of the premeditation.
Under Iowa law, Danielle is required to serve a minimum 35-year sentence in prison.
In spite of the tragedy they've endured, the conviction comes as a relief to Devon's loved ones.
I said, thank you. I said, but wherever y'all send her, make sure it's not with the people who just found the Lord and try to live a good life. Put it with the real bad ones, the one that don't care if they live or die today or tomorrow.
I mean, at the end of the day, her life is gone. She did not just ruin one life, she ruined multiple. She destroyed a family. You know, she took something that is irreplaceable. One day she will answer. She'll have to answer to God for those crimes.
If there's anything to learn about it, domestic violence is not just against women. It's not like that. Men go through it too. Stay away from crazy ass women.
He played tackle in high school and guard. All of our dreams at one time was to make it to the NFL. But life don't always happen that way, you know? My brother meant the world to me. Anybody I love meant the world to me. And he was the same way Jabbar was.
Broad daylight on a summer afternoon, somebody's gunned down.
There's a young black man laying in a pool of his own blood, fighting for his life.
He certainly couldn't talk, but he's trying to write something on his arm in his own blood.
There was a lot of information coming in. The name kept coming up.
It's what police sometimes call a street name.
Every time they see each other, they're at each other's necks, like two boxers in a ring.
Somebody was going to be hurt or killed.
As a young man, there's this need to defend and protect your territory.
He wasn't going to allow him to breathe another day.
It's June 5th, 1995. A quiet summer afternoon in Colorado Springs, Colorado.
Colorado Springs back in the 1990s was a nice little town, not a whole lot of crime.
It's just a normal day where, everybody's kind of tending their business, commuting, routine type day.
Just after 3:30 p.m., the routine is interrupted.
There was a flood of 911 calls coming in, reporting a shooting.
There was a black man who got shot right in front of the Champion Auto Parts store right there by the front door.
The area where this happened was a nice part of town.
Usually where people feel really safe, the last thing they're thinking is that they're going to be a witness to serious gun violence.
Patrol officers with Colorado Springs Police Department arrive at the location.
There's a young black man laying in a pool of his own blood, and he is fighting for his life.
There were several witnesses that heard the gunshots or even saw what happened, rushed over to render aid.
Our victim was laying on the ground, was still alive at the time, trying to breathe. He's gasping for air.
And then the EMTs arrived, and of course they put him on a gurney and they took him, I think, to Memorial Hospital.
When I got there, I could see that the area was cordoned off with police evidence tape. I interviewed a few people. They heard the shots, which happened right outside the front door to the west of the Champion Auto Parts store. They observed two black males. One had a gun and basically shot the other one a number of times. And then this individual ran to the north and disappeared. And no one could give me a good description other than a young, possibly around 20-year-old black male with a white shirt on.
With the shooter at large, police immediately launch a search.
There were only like 3 little businesses in this short strip mall. Moving past those businesses, the next location would be an apartment complex, fairly large complex to the north. And that's apparently where the suspect kind of disappeared. So, of course, we searched that area. We actually used a dog. We had a canine officer come.
At the scene, a man pulls into the parking lot and asks to speak with the detectives.
He was driving by the auto parts store, saw all the police activity there, and noticed that his brother's car was parked in the parking lot with police tape around it.
He begins to talk to police, and he's saying, "Hey, that's my brother's car."
I got a phone call from one of my cousins, and he said there's a lot of police at the auto parts store, and he thinks something happened to Jabbar. And so I rushed over there. They wouldn't tell me nothing. No, but I knew in my heart that it was Jabbar.
Antoine Jabbar McKenzie was born on January 15, 1975, in Colorado Springs.
Jabbar was one of 3. He was the baby of the family, and he grew up with this close-knit family with his siblings.
We got a pretty big family. We all grew up together, the whole block. We had my aunt and uncle on the corner. My Uncle Larry stayed next door to them. My cousin Kelly and Junior stayed a house down from them. And then on the other street, we had cousins.
Jabbar and his brothers were inseparable.
We was always together. If you seen one, you seen us all. I remember one time we all snuck off from B Street and walked all the way to the mountains over there, followed the creek all the way up to the mountains. And we made it home. It was a little dark. And my mom, they was like, "Where was y'all at?" We went to the mountains. And Jabbar was like, "Yeah, Mom, I'm tired." My dad and mom took us fishing. We did a lot of fishing, camping. They always made sure my mom would always take us fishing, you know. And I remember there was a time too, Jabbar, we was fishing and he sat on the hook. And my mom had to take him to the hospital because he couldn't get it out.
When Jabbar was 17, his parents separated.
I was 20 at the time. They said they stayed together to raise us so we'd be together.
They did this until the point where they figured that the kids could be on their own, make their own decisions, and they would be good. And it was at that point where Mom and Dad separated. Mom went to live in Texas. Dad stayed here in Colorado.
Jabbar stayed in Colorado Springs, where he attended Palmer High School.
Jabbar had a love for football. You know, he was real passionate about it. You start getting that recognition that people start noticing you and you start feeling good about yourself. Your self-esteem gets good. So I think he was enjoying that.
He played tackle in high school and guard, and he was pretty good. All of our dreams at one time was to make it to the NFL, but life don't always happen that way.
Unfortunately, he dropped out of school in his senior year. Some people, that came as a surprise to him because he was such a good football player and enjoyed it. But all of a sudden, he decides to drop out of school.
Jabbar took a job working with his father, who owned a construction company.
They pour concrete, and my dad taught him how to operate equipment. Basically, hard labor, that's what we do.
Jabbar eventually moved in with his grandma, and it was at that point where he walked in his independence. He was paying bills. He was the man of the house.
With hard-earned cash in his pocket, Jabbar splurged and bought himself a vintage muscle car.
He worked tirelessly in order to pay that thing off. He would continue to fix it up to get it just right.
I remember one day, I said, "I'm gonna get my car painted." I said, we gonna sand it, you know, this, and so we didn't know what we was doing. So by the end of it, we had all kinds of grind marks all over the car and everything. And he was like, "Man, we messed this car up."
Jabbar had plans to take the car on a road trip.
The whole plans for us leaving. My cousin got him a job at the prison to be a prison guard. So he was going to go to Texas to be a prison guard.
But on the day he planned to leave, his brother, Eric, is in the parking lot of an auto parts store trying to find out if the man who was just shot is Jabbar.
The victim's brother talks to police and says, this could be my brother. I see his car.
He was told then that the person that was associated with that car had been shot and transported to the hospital.
The brother, understandably, is very, freaked out and rushes right to the hospital.
Investigators continue to speak to witnesses. They learn that the shooter might not be on foot after all.
There's a witness on the scene who was across the street filling up his truck at a gas station, heard what he thought was a backfire, looks over and he sees this guy pointing at our victim, and he hears a succession of 6 gunshots and then sees our victim fall to the ground. he looks down the street and sees the person he saw confronting our victim running down the street and get into the passenger side of a white car.
It had no hubcaps and was being driven by a black male, and it was like spinning out.
The suspect got into the passenger side of that car and they left the area.
Investigators stay on the lookout for the white sedan. Then, detectives learn from witnesses who tried to render him aid that the victim might have tried to leave a clue.
He certainly couldn't talk, but he's bleeding pretty badly, and he's trying to write something on his arm in his own blood.
With the last strength that he has, he is trying to tell people what happened to him.
It clearly indicated that he knew and he was trying to put that information out.
A midday shooting in Colorado Springs has left a young man suspected to be 20-year-old Jabbar McKenzie at a nearby hospital fighting for his life. Speaking with witnesses, investigators learned the victim may have attempted to communicate a clue about the shooter before losing consciousness.
He is hit and he falls to the ground. There's a lot of blood. And bystanders run to him to help him. And he tries to write something on his arm. He writes with his own blood.
When we find out that that's happened, we call the hospital. We want to see what it is.
They learn they will have to wait until after he undergoes emergency surgery.
So from there, my next assignment would be to do the scene itself. So I started having the scene photographed. That's kind of the first thing you do.
There was a car parked in the parking lot that ended up belonging to our victim, and that's why he had gone to the auto parts store to get the thermostat.
We started noticing what appeared to be .22 caliber spent casings. We collected 10 of those casings. Some of them were toward the driver's side of the vehicle, some were at the rear of the vehicle, and some were actually on the passenger side of the vehicle. So it appeared as though whoever was firing, they must have fired fairly close to the individual, and then as they backed up away, they continued firing. Therefore, the casings were, strewn around the car, and then apparently ran to the north.
Investigators also locate some cash and the thermostat on the ground.
So it certainly appeared that the individual, the victim in this case, had been in the store, probably purchased the thermostat, and on the way to his car was confronted by this black individual with the white shirt.
Well, it was apparent it wasn't a robbery because he still had money in his hand, and he had an auto part, a thermostat that he had purchased. So you're looking at this and, your thoughts are, well, what happened here? This wasn't a robbery. This was a targeted attack. Broad daylight on a summer afternoon in the middle of a parking lot, somebody's gunned down. This was some kind of a hit.
If the young man did see who attacked him, investigators learn he won't be able to share that with police.
Jabbar McKenzie is pronounced dead at 3:50 p.m. He sustained 6 gunshot wounds to the chest. One of those gunshots went through his heart and another through his lungs.
Investigators head to the hospital, hopeful to take a look at the victim's arm.
By the time we get there smeared, we can't make anything out. But the one witness that saw the shooting says he saw it looked like it was either a J or a K or O.
Having gotten word of the shooting from Eric, Jabbar McKenzie's family gathers at the hospital.
A man and an elderly lady show up at the hospital, and they're saying, we want to see our son. And it's at that time that they're notified that, well, the person that was brought in is deceased, is no longer alive.
A family member had made an identification of the body, and it was Jabbar McKenzie.
The day that he passed away, we were supposed to leave that day. My brother meant the world to me. Anybody I love meant the world to me, and I go out to wait for him if I have to. And he was the same way. Jabbar was.
Mr. McKenzie loses it. His son is now gone. His son is dead. Anybody would have that reaction.
He said that, he wants to know what's going on, and he knows who did this, and he's going to get him. And the detective's trying to calm him down and say, that's not the way to handle this. You don't let us handle this. And Everett walks out of the room. Well, Viola, the Joe Barr's grandmother's still there, so detectives start talking to her and trying to find out some background on Joe Barr.
Grandma told police that Jabbar, he didn't get into a lot of trouble. He didn't hang out with any gangs. According to Grandma, he was just a sweet young man.
Everett McKenzie comes back into the room. He's calmed down now and would like to help out however he can to find out who did this to his son. He said that that Joe Barr had been having troubles for years, ever since high school, with a kid named Kelvin Washington. And he felt that maybe Kelvin was involved in the shooting.
Detectives learned that 19-year-old Kelvin Andre Washington lives a few blocks from the crime scene on Tahoe Boulevard.
Now we need to go talk to Kelvin Washington to find out what can he tell us about this homicide. Was he involved in this?
Colorado Springs at the time, I think, is probably maybe 320,000 folks. It was a big little town, and every homicide still impacted the community. Back in 1995, there was not a large number of homicides in Colorado Springs. This was the 7th homicide in 1995, and it was in the middle of June. This murder occurred in the middle of the day at an auto parts store. It could have been at a grocery store. It could have been at the mall. And that's the kind of thing that Colorado Springs at the time would still be paying attention to. The people in town want to know, is this going to impact them? Is there something going on in the town that could be dangerous?
All new True Crime Monday.
No one has heard from her since Monday.
They knew something was wrong. There wasn't any evidence of foul play. It looked like she vanished.
All new Fatal Attraction, Monday at 9 on TV One.
After 20-year-old Jabbar McKenzie is brazenly shot down in broad daylight, investigators look into an alleged enemy from his days at Palmer High.
I ended up at around 9 o'clock, like 6 hours after the shooting, going to the Tahoe address where we thought we could find Kelvin Washington. And there were a number of other people in the living room area, and one of them was Kelvin Washington. So it wasn't comfortable to be talking to him with all these people. So we traveled to the basement with him and started learning a few things.
His reaction kind of surprised the detectives because he says, I thought you'd be coming by here to talk to me. Oh, really? You're going to tell us you were involved in this? What's going on? And he says, no, I'll tell you, it's common knowledge on the street that myself and Joe Barr do not get along. But I did not kill Joe Barr. He's a typical 20-year-old, wears glasses, and seems to be an all-around kind of guy, I'm here to help you out. I wasn't involved in this. The detectives asked him, well, would you come down to town and talk to us about this? It's better than, us having to talk to you here at your house. Sure. He was very cooperative. He said, I'll meet you guys down there.
At the station, police asked Kelvin to submit to a GSR test.
The gunshot residue test is where police can swab someone's hands and determine they could be the shooter. Kelvin agrees to do that.
While police process the results, Kelvin gives a statement about his history with Jabbar.
He's being very polite, very cooperative, answering all of their questions.
Kelvin says the conflict started when they were both still in high school.
It sounds like Kelvin's girlfriend may have hit on Jabbar. And through that, Jabbar went and talked to Kelvin about it.
Jabbar went to Kelvin to tell him, hey, man, your girlfriend is hitting on me. You might want to watch her. When Kelvin confronts his girlfriend about what Jabbar was saying, she denies it. And this makes Kelvin upset. He goes back to Jabbar and says, hey, man, stay out of my relationship. I don't want to have anything else to do with you. You stay away from me, you stay away from her. Jabbar was not one to back down from a threat. And he saw this as a threat. And so now Kelvin becomes an enemy.
So what started as high school rivalry quickly escalated to an incident where Jabbar showed up at Kelvin's house to fight him.
Kelvin Washington's mom came out on the front porch and had to tell Jabbar, leave. I don't want you around here messing with my son. He doesn't want to fight you. Get out of here. And Jabbar leaves.
It escalated to the point where Kelvin says that Jabbar started bullying him. He started throwing bricks at his car. We have 2 teenage boys here, and they are feuding. Every time they see each other in school, they're at each other's necks, like 2 boxers in a ring.
It's clear the 2 young men didn't like each other, but is a high school beef motive for murder?
In order to arrest someone, there's 3 basic elements that you have to establish: a motive, an opportunity, and the means to commit the crime.
With motive in question, investigators focus on opportunity.
First thing I wanted to do was kind of track his day. What did you do today?
Kelvin says that he was living with his girlfriend and their baby at the time. He woke up, he played some video games that morning, and around 12:30, he left the house to go pick up his green Cadillac. Police think this is a really important detail because the car observed at the shooting was a white sedan, not a green Cadillac.
Kelvin says he spent the afternoon at his stepfather's house on Tahoe Boulevard, where he still was when the shooting took place.
Kelvin also tells police that his family was in and out of the house all day, and this would help confirm Kelvin's alibi because they would have seen Kelvin in the house.
Detectives consider whether Kelvin had the means to commit the crime.
One of the questions they ask is, do you own a gun? Kelvin says, yes, I do.
This is Colorado. This is the Wild West, so to speak. Lots of people own guns in Colorado Springs, so it's not unusual for a 20-year-old to own a gun.
But it's a .380, which again is not the murder weapon. He agrees to actually give the police his own gun if they want to test it and compare it to that .22 caliber shell casing they found. Kelvin is calm, he is agreeing to cooperate, and police often view that kind of demeanor as someone who's not guilty, who is just trying to show that they're innocent.
But just before Kelvin Washington leaves, the results of his GSR test come back.
Detective Hilty came into the room and informed me and in front of Mr. Washington that he came back positive for gunshot residue. I asked him how he was going to explain that. How do you explain you have gunshot residue on you?
He said, I was at the range the other day with my buddy, and I was shooting my .380, so I'd probably have gunshot residue on my hand.
Kelvin promises to return at 3 p.m. the following day with his .380.
He agreed to bring that gun in the next day and turn it over to me so we could examine it. That was pretty much the first interview that night with Mr. Washington. I actually drove him home.
There's no reason to hold him. They got no information that he's the actual shooter in this case. And he's being cooperative, so they're going to let him go.
With Kelvin seemingly in the clear, investigators have no leads until a tip comes in.
There was a lot of information coming in, some to uniformed officers, some to detectives, but the name Nebo kept coming up.
Police quickly understand that Nebo is not a proper name, it's what police sometimes call a street name. The person who committed this murder, the person who shot Jabbar, is named Nebo.
Detectives looking into the death of Jabbar McKenzie have just received a tip that a man who goes by the nickname Nebo is responsible for his death.
A lot of times the only way they're going to find out is if they, hit the pavement, start their networking, and try to figure out who Nebo is.
Detectives were contacted by a local FBI agent who said that he had some information that may be related to this homicide and that he had an informant that had this information and would be willing to share this information. So the detectives met with the informant, and that's when they first learned that Kelvin Washington was also known as Nebo on the streets.
Detectives look into the alibi Kelvin gave in his initial interview.
He's being very cooperative. He says he's got an alibi. He was home all day. You never take a suspect's word for the fact that he didn't do this. He gives you an alibi, you investigate that alibi now and determine if he's telling the truth.
When they take a close look at Kelvin's statement, they note a discrepancy.
I noticed when he talks about the time period of around 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock in the afternoon on Monday, the 5th, there's nobody else at the house, apparently.
Jabbar was shot just before 3:30 p.m.
And he claims he was there and never left. So that, kind of piques your interest.
The next day at 3 p.m., Kelvin Washington returns to the police station as promised.
He conveniently forgot to bring the .380 and again claimed he didn't know exactly where it was anyway, but went into a little more detail about the issues he'd had over the years with Jabbar.
Kelvin Washington mentioned at one point he and a friend of his went to Bumper's Lounge one night, and lo and behold, Jabbar was there in the parking lot. And Kelvin said, we need to get out of here. I don't want any confrontation to go in here because I know something's going to happen if he sees me out here. So they left the parking lot. But Jabbar follows them out of the parking lot. And it's almost like a chase is going on where he's trying to get away from Jabbar, but Jabbar is following him. And he said it got to the point where Jabbar actually pulled a gun out and started shooting. He said nobody in the car was hit, but his car was hit 2 times.
Kelvin tells police the incident rattled him. He went to stay with his mother in Tennessee for a couple of months, hoping that Jabbar's temper would cool in the meantime.
He drove that car to Memphis to visit his mother, and she actually had the car painted and repaired to cover up those 2 bullet holes while he was down there. So it's it was documented that there was 2 bullet holes in that car.
But when he returned to Colorado Springs, Jabbar was anything but cool.
Kelvin tells police that Jabbar followed Kelvin's girlfriend back to her apartment, probably looking for him. And Kelvin says at this point, that's the last straw.
He explained that things had escalated recently to the point that either Thursday or Friday, Jabbar had driven by the Tahoe address, fired some shots at the house. He claims that this was witnessed by the stepfather, and then, of course, he goes to the range and does some practice.
When things like this ends up with weapons and guns being involved, people feel that they need to defend and protect themselves. As a young man, there's this need to defend and protect your territory.
Kelvin claims he was ready to defend himself if he had to, but maintains he did not kill Jabbar. Investigators aren't convinced.
And does he have the means? Well, he has a weapon. He practiced on Friday, so that's kind of circumstantial evidence, but we need more than that to make an arrest.
He was asked if he'd be willing to take a polygraph on the statements he was given.
During that second interview, we'd arranged for Nebo, Mr. Washington, to come in on the 7th, and he agreed to do a polygraph.
But before he comes back, detectives get a phone call that changes everything.
They find out who may have owned this white car that they saw leaving the crime scene. They contact a juvenile who was known to be associated with that car.
This informant happens to be a juvenile, a person under the age of 18.
So they went to his house and contacted his mother and said, we'd like to talk to your son. We're investigating this homicide case. He may be involved, he might not, but we'd like to talk to him. She said, sure, come on in, you can talk to him.
At this point, Mom calls him out and tells him that he needs to give police whatever information that they need. He's kind of hesitant because he knows that according to street law, you're not supposed to talk to police, but Mom pushes him to do the right thing.
Well, the kid's mother says, you be honest with these police officers, tell them what happened. And during that interview, he says, yes, he was with Kelvin Washington that particular day.
So in 10th grade, the frontal cortex is not fully developed. And what that means is that kids are much more reactive rather than reflective. And, in this case, it was just one thing after another. And so both boys saying things as they passed each other in the hallways, and things quickly escalated, as oftentimes happens in high school. I think sometimes our anger stems from other issues from the past that hasn't been addressed. And it's misguided and misdirected. And there is this need to right sometimes a wrong that causes people to engage in a short-term release that we'll get from engaging in the action and not the long-term consequences.
On June 7, 1995, Colorado Springs police interview a witness who says he was with Kelvin Washington on the afternoon Jabbar McKenzie was killed.
And he was with a guy named Big Will. Big Will was a friend of Kelvin Washington.
He claimed that the three of them, Big Will, Nebo, and himself, were driving around in a white car, and they were looking for marijuana.
Nebo was wearing a white t-shirt and jeans, which is important information for the police. Other witnesses say that the shooter was also wearing white t-shirt and jeans.
He said as they're driving down the street, Kelvin Washington is telling them which way to go, and all of a sudden Kelvin says, "Stop the car and let me out."
They ended up dropping Nebo off somewhere west of the Champion Auto Parts store. Claims the other two drove around a bit.
He says about 10 or 15 minutes later, they come back and pick Kelvin Washington up.
Nebo got back in the vehicle and they left.
He says Kelvin has scored some marijuana, so then they go back to Kelvin's house and they're there the rest of the day. Nothing about any shooting, and he doesn't know about any shooting. Didn't hear any gunshots, so doesn't know anything about that.
Detectives suspect that during the 15 minutes, Kelvin shot and killed Jabbar.
They were all together, and they dropped Kelvin Washington off right at the scene of the murder, and then the murder happens.
But the juvenile claims to know nothing about the actual killing.
I don't think that it was as innocent as what it was portrayed, but it was the best evidence that was going to be available to us at the time.
As they wrap up with the witness, investigators receive news that Kelvin Washington is at the police station taking a polygraph test.
I went back to police headquarters, met up with the other detectives, and immediately learned that Mr. Washington, Nebo, had failed his polygraph. So now we've got the polygraph failure, we've got the gunshot residue on his hands on Monday, we've got his presence at the scene on Monday when the crime occurred, we got a witness that puts him there, and we certainly have the motive.
It was determined then to present this case to our assistant district attorney at the time, who reviewed it and said, yeah, we're going to get a warrant and have him arrested.
On the evening of June 7th, just over 48 hours after the murder of Jabbar McKenzie, detectives confront Kelvin Washington with the new evidence against him.
Detectives are telling him, you know, we can put you in this area. No, I wasn't there. I was with Big Will and this juvenile. We were driving around, but we never went by that auto parts store. They never let me out. None of that stuff happened. The detective was saying, well, you know, we have evidence to the contrary, and we don't believe you. And that's when he said, you know what, I'm done with this interview and I'm leaving. No, you're not. We have a warrant for your arrest, charging with murder. You're under arrest, and we're taking you into custody.
With Kelvin in custody, investigators trained their sights on locating the third person in the suspect vehicle, a man known as Big Will.
We were looking for Big Will as technically a witness, but somebody we thought could potentially be a co-defendant in this case.
Is he helping Kelvin Washington set up this homicide? Is he now driving a getaway car for Kelvin Washington to get away? Another confidential informant was contacted who said that he had seen Kelvin Washington and Big Will on that particular day, and that he had told Big Will that he would take him to the bus depot because Big Will was leaving Colorado Springs that afternoon to go back to Memphis. He picked Big Will up at Kelvin Washington's house, loaded up 6 boxes that he had with him that he was going to put on the bus. He noticed that the case for that .22 caliber pistol was in one of the boxes. He didn't actually see the pistol, but he did see the case for the pistol. So he assumed that the pistol was there and that Big Will was taking it back to Memphis with him.
Based on shell casings found at the crime scene, detectives know Jabbar McKenzie was killed with a .22.
Nebo claimed that he had a .380, not a .22 caliber.
Now we know that Big Will had a .22. Did Big Will give that .22 to Kelvin Washington to shoot Jabbar with?
The witness gives investigators Big Will's cell phone number.
Investigators were actually able to contact Big Will in Memphis. The investigator said, well, would you be willing to come back to Colorado Springs and talk to us? Oh, yeah, I'll be willing to. He kind of backtracked on that, and we couldn't get a hold of him anymore.
Myself and another detective from CSPD, we went down to Memphis.
We were unable to locate him, so we told the local authorities, you know, we need this guy back here on this murder case. If we can find him, pick him up, and that's what happened.
On June 13th, 1995, 8 days after the death of Jabbar McKenzie, suspected accomplice Big Will is taken into custody in Memphis.
We first talked to him on the telephone, and he was kind of hesitant about talking to my investigator, but did admit that, yes, he was with Kelvin Washington that day, and that he was driving, and the juvenile was in the back seat. But he says, we didn't shoot anybody. We were just out looking for some marijuana. Okay, well, we're going to bring you back and have you tell this story in court.
As with the juvenile, investigators have no proof that Big Will was an accomplice or even knew the shooting took place.
If we would have been able to charge him from an evidentiary standpoint by then, we would have. And he knew that.
Big Will makes his way back to Colorado, and so does the alleged murder weapon.
We were able to acquire the gun that Big Will had in his possession, and that was the .22 caliber handgun that we're certain was involved in the commission of the crime.
We were able to get that .22 caliber back, make the matches that were necessary. So there was our .22 caliber, which was really the only missing piece of evidence was the actual gun itself.
In January 1996, Kelvin Washington goes on trial for the first-degree murder of Jabbar McKenzie. Prosecutors put eyewitnesses from the crime scene on the stand.
They were able to identify what the assailant was wearing. They were able to identify what kind of car they were driving. They were able to identify which direction he ran in.
But the defense claims that even though Kelvin matches the description given by witnesses, police arrested the wrong man.
At trial, it was the defense's theory of the case that this was not Kelvin Washington, that this was a case of mistaken identity.
Prosecutors allege that what started as a beef between two high school kids escalated until Kelvin sought the ultimate revenge.
He was tired of it. He was tired of being shot at. His car was being shot at. His mother's house was being shot at. He was just tired of all that.
When Kelvin saw Jabbar at the store, he saw his chance to put a permanent end to the feud.
Kelvin saw this as his opportunity to take Jabbar's life. He wasn't going to allow him to get back in the car and walk away and breathe another day.
You can't pull out a gun and go stalk somebody and shoot them 6 times because you're being bullied.
It seemed that the prosecution had the stronger of the two cases. But at the very end, you just never know exactly what the jury's going to come back with.
Ultimately, Kelvin Washington was found guilty of first-degree murder, and in Colorado, that carries a mandatory penalty of life in prison without the possibility of parole, which is where he was sentenced to.
Most homicides, the victim knows their perpetrator, and in this case, it wasn't a family member; it was a known enemy. This is going to be a situation of two people, where one's going to be a victim and one's going to be a perpetrator. There's going to be a life spent, and there's going to be a life ruined. And in this case, Jabbar's life was spent and Nebo's life was ruined.
It was just inevitable that somebody was going to be hurt or killed, and now we know how it ended.
I took it hard, took it real hard, and you could say I lost my mind a little bit for not being my brother's keeper, you know, because we was close, all of us was close, you know, and I didn't know how to deal with it.
It could have all been prevented if somebody was able to sit down with them and do some conflict resolution. Let's talk about our differences. Let's get all of this misunderstanding out to the surface so we can actually know what is going on. Since that didn't happen, we have two tragedies.
I just still to this day can't understand why they didn't just have us sit down and work things out before it got to where it got to. You know, that's my whole issue, is why didn't they try to sit them both down?
December 27, 2003, Quinn and I are in the office, and we get a call to respond to a person deceased in a house over on Boulder Crest.
This particular part of Atlanta is really interesting because it's on the cusp of another jurisdiction in Atlanta.
Residents in that area, in this particular house, if you were to call 911, you may get Atlanta police or you may get DeKalb County police.
That's how close the line was to this particular house. This time it fell in Atlanta, so on this day, it got me and my partner.
Hey, Jay. What do we got?
The call came in as shots fired.
All right, who called it in?
It was an anonymous call from a payphone.
You know, if someone's calling 911 from a payphone, we're thinking they don't want to be identified. So right now, our suspicions are up.
I waited for backup. We went inside and found a deceased male in the living room.
All right, let's take a look. Thanks.
This is a pretty interesting crime scene. But when we walk in, we don't feel the warmth of a family living here. It looks a little sinister.
Looks like they just moved in. Well, maybe he lives alone.
We clearly see a black male on his back with dreads with what appears to be gunshot wounds to the front of his torso.
It looks like he didn't get the call for help.
As we're examining our victim, we also see a cell phone right next to our victim's left hand.
Yo, that's a crucial piece of evidence.
We don't know what was going on. We'll be really interested on who the person was he last spoke to.
Hey, fellas. What up, Alex? Hey, Alex.
So the medical examiner arrives on scene.
Yeah, gunshot wounds. Pretty recent. Do you mind if we take a look? No, go ahead.
We go into his pocket. And in his pocket, we find his ID.
So Wali Muhammad, 25 years old, lived in Decatur, Georgia. I guess this is not his place.
I mean, that's not really close to this location. What's he doing over here? While it's still the same county, that's a whole nother city.
All right, let me see if there's anything else. He's got something back here. Oh. These are 357s. Christina, can we bag this?
Yes.
Yeah, and did you find a gun?
I did not.
He's got a gun clip to an automatic weapon on his person, but there's no gun anywhere near him or in his pockets.
I got a piece of paper here. Yo, this guy just got out of county.
He's got like a jail receipt where he actually was just in jail like less than 2 days before this particular scene here.
That's terrible luck.
Like, who gets out of jail and gets killed?
We want to look around. We want to see what other evidence we can find.
Ooh, what's up? That's not a 357.
No, it's a 9mm.
Interestingly enough, we find a 9mm handgun basically hidden in the couch.
Drugs in the kitchen.
This is a trap house, no doubt about it. So we got to figure, is our victim a customer or was he a seller?
This is interesting.
What's that?
Got letters here addressed to a Leonard Abbott.
So we find these letters with the name Leonard Abbott inscribed on them. They actually have the address to where we're standing at. This is a clue.
Okay.
So as we venture further into our crime scene, we see 3 .357 caliber shell casings on the floor. And they're on the floor like somebody was in here working with a gun.
All right, so this is where the shooter opened fire from.
357. Now, isn't that the same caliber of bullet that we found in the Vic's pocket?
Yeah. Maybe he got killed with his own gun.
Is this just a coincidence, or is there just more to this story?
Christina, can we bag this?
Yes.
So we searched the entire residence. We do not find a 357 automatic pistol anywhere. So we know that killer took that gun with him.
The only thing missing from this joint is
his money.
Exactly. So that means somebody hit a drug lid.
I mean, it's a possibility it could have been a customer that turned into a robber and killed the victim who may have been the proprietor.
All right, let's wrap this up.
It's time to expand our vision, so we go into the backyard area. There's this red Chevy Caprice that's, you know, standing out like a stop sign.
Ooh, what's this?
Could be a pretty big clue.
It looks like it's a car somebody's missing or belongs to maybe our victim or whoever else lives here. So we run the tag.
Thanks, man. All right, so the car's registered to a Kwame Cook.
That's a new name.
But we want to know who Kwame Cook is because why is your car in the back of our crime scene?
But if his car's here, then he probably knows something, so...
Hey, detectives. There's someone here that wants to talk to you.
What's up, man? What's your name?
Eugene Strong.
He's actually our 911 caller. He came back to the scene.
That dead guy in there? It's my friend.
All right, let's step over here and talk for a second. Thanks, man. All right, so tell us what happened.
Wally called me this morning.
Eugene Strong goes on to tell us that his friend Wally Muhammad actually asked him to give him a ride over to this Boulder Crest address. He was going to go inside, pick something up, and they'd be out of there.
Did he say what he was picking up?
No, he just said for me to wait for him outside.
Be right back.
Eugene goes on to say, about 5 minutes later, he hears shouting coming from inside the residence. It drew his attention, like he looked over. Next thing he knows, he hears multiple gunshots going on.
After that, I took off and drove to a payphone and called 911.
We wonder if Eugene is telling the truth.
We have to tune in not just what the witness is saying, but how they're saying it. It was clear as we're looking and listening to Eugene tell us this story.
But I wish I could have done something.
He's visibly shaken, like this victim meant something to Eugene. There's no doubt about that.
The shouting in the house, do you recognize any of the voices?
One was Wally, the other one I don't know, but he had a Jamaican accent.
We're thinking there's two people in there. The argument starts literally minutes after our victim walks in. That person with the Jamaican accent, that's likely our killer.
All right, so the house, it's a trap, right?
Yeah, Wally sold dope there.
He says Wally worked the trap house along with a guy named Country, a guy named Jamaican, which matches up with that accent he heard, and another guy named Ed.
Is there anything else you can add here?
No, that's it.
Come on.
So right now, we got a couple names to go on, one being Leonard Abbott that was found on mail addressed to him to our crime scene.
All right, I got something here. Okay, so it says he's listed as a suspect in an assault.
Okay, who's the Vic?
It looks like a girlfriend named Courtney.
He's somebody who puts hands on people. If you put hands on people, it's not far-fetched that you put a gun in your hand and actually shot somebody.
Is there a phone number there for Courtney?
Yeah.
Hello? This is Vince Velasquez. I'm a homicide detective. I want to talk to you about Leonard Abbott.
We give a call to Courtney, and she's giving us some information.
I don't know anything about a murder.
She lets us know straight up that's not her man anymore. They're estranged.
Okay, so we found a few letters of his in a house over on Boulder Crest.
Yeah, that's where he works.
She says that's a drug house, and her ex-old man, he sells drugs there just like everybody else.
Everyone on the street calls him the country.
We got to think back to when we interviewed Eugene. He gave us a roll call of everybody. He mentioned country.
All right, thanks a lot.
So we finished the call with Courtney, and next up is Kwame Cook. And we got to remember, Kwame Cook is the person that has a vehicle in the back of this house.
Hey, what's going on, man? Yeah, we just need to ask you a few questions. That's it.
He's a little cagey, but he's trying to figure out what we want, but he's cooperative.
I'll see you soon.
He agrees to come in for an interview. The investigation appears to be moving in a positive direction. But the suspect pool is deep.
What happened?
There was trouble at this trap.
We want to talk to you about your boyfriend, the Jamaican.
This was the wildest of goose chases. Hunting for the killer is like chasing a ghost.
There's no record for Nathaniel Payne.
This brother has one fake name after another.
Finally, an unexpected encounter will bring this case to a dramatic close.
Let me see your hands.
This was a life or death situation. It was going to be me or him.
Yeah, gunshot wounds, pretty recent.
We're working the murder of 25-year-old Wally Muhammad, shot to death in a trap house just inside of southeast Atlanta.
I don't know anything about a murder.
While searching for folks that frequented the residence,
We just need to ask you a few questions. That's it.
we get in touch with Kwame Cook, whose car was actually found behind our crime scene in the backyard.
He says you'll meet. I don't know. Something weird about that kid.
Yeah? Whatever it is, we're gonna pull out of it, right? Don't worry.
I'm thinking Kwame is either the killer himself or he knows who the killer is. We're back at the office. Out of nowhere, my phone rings.
Velasquez, how can I help you?
It's an attorney representing Kwame Cook.
My client's willing to speak, but I need to be present for the interview.
This is suspicious. Like, why is Kwame lawyering up right now?
Okay, when can you meet?
Tomorrow afternoon.
Looking forward to it.
Sounds like we got us a hot date.
Can't wait to hear what he has to say.
Kwame's protecting Kwame in this situation. So we're looking at him sideways, but we know we're going to get something.
The next day, we meet with Kwame and his attorney.
Gentlemen,
For the record, my client is cooperating when he doesn't have to.
We understand that.
Let's get started.
Okay, so why was your car at that house?
It was getting work done.
He says he gave that car to a friend of his named 6ix9ine to do some repair work on it.
Do you know this gentleman right here?
He sells dope at that house.
He says he frequents this place, that he's a regular visitor.
Kick it with my cousin.
He identifies his cousin. It is Eduardo Hayes.
He says there's two other guys named Wally and Jamaican that also hang there.
Jamaican, there's that name again. It's the same name we heard our other witness talking about. He heard arguing from inside the house, a person with a Jamaican accent.
Now the Jamaican. You know his real name?
No.
So where were you during the day on December 27th?
Was in College Park.
So you didn't go to a trap house all day that day?
No. I was at my house with a friend.
All right, do me a favor. Let me get his name and number.
Is there anything else?
Yeah, we're done.
Let's go.
Let's see what we can do with that.
We quickly verified Kwame's alibi. At this point, we think he's given us everything he knows. We don't feel him being involved directly or indirectly in this murder.
As we're prepared to contact other people, we get a call from another attorney representing a guy by the name of Eduardo Hayes. He says he's not giving us a statement, but based off the information that we got on hand right now, we feel like the Jamaican is the killer.
You would think this guy would be easy to find, but when we searched our database for the name Jamaican, we came up with 0.
Nice. What do you got?
Victim's phone.
We could go through his call log and see who he was communicating with up and around the time he was killed.
Okay, so a call comes in at 11:37 a.m.
Yo, that's only a few minutes before the 911 call.
Check out the caller.
The number he called was stored in his contacts as Jamaican.
Okay, so we know Wally was talking to him right before the murder, and we have them arguing right before the gunshot.
So this is it. We know for a fact that there is a connection between a Jamaican and our victim, and we just got to figure out how and why. We do a reverse lookup on the phone, hoping we get lucky without a subpoena, and we get nothing. It's goose egg.
Okay, so no name associated with this number is on the public record.
Subpoena time.
Yeah, we gotta slow play this one now.
We're not just gonna call the number and, put ourselves on blast. We want to creep in. We want to know more about this person before we just kill our investigation.
I wonder if Waleed's family can help at all.
Hey, it's Vince Velasquez over at APD.
We reached out to the victim's sister just to get some information, not just about our victim, but people that, our victim was associated with. She basically says her brother lost his way, but all in all, he was a good guy. And we've seen that before. Just because you're a drug dealer doesn't make you a bad person.
Thank you. Bye. So she doesn't know anything, but she gave me the number to somebody who might.
Beautiful.
He gave me the number for his girlfriend, Kari. I give her a call. She agrees to sit down and have a conversation with me and my partner.
Thank you for agreeing to meet with us.
Yeah, no problem. I always knew this could happen.
So I'm sure Wally shared with you what was going on in his life.
Just ask.
Did he ever talk about the Jamaican?
Yeah, Wally was on the phone with Country, and they're talking about money missing from the trap.
Country goes on to say he thinks the Jamaican is responsible for the missing money.
When was this call?
2 days before he died. Wally was talking to the Jamaican, and I could tell he was pissed.
The victim is mad about money missing, and they're yelling at each other, thinking, this is it. This is the reason why our victim is dead.
And then later that day, he got into a fight with his other girlfriend.
Kari goes on to say our victim got arrested for like a disorderly conduct charge.
That explains the jail paperwork he had on him.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know the Jamaican's real name?
No.
We believe at this point that Kari has given us the why in this investigation.
Think of anything else, give us a call. We'll see you.
Yo, Vinny.
Yep.
I got the Jamaican, baby.
We finally get subscriber information back on the Jamaican's phone number.
We now have a name, Kenroy Drummond.
Not only do we have a name, we find out Kenroy Drummond has an address in Northwest Atlanta.
Sounds like it's time to bust a move.
Israel.
It's time for a visit.
Tracking down the suspect will be anything but easy.
He's only 14 years old.
Yes.
This has never happened to us before.
Man, got me good, man. Robbed me just like last time.
He was a ghost.
This house and the crime scene tape don't match.
This particular trap house is something I had never seen before.
Looks like they just moved in.
Not only are these guys like straight up businessmen with how they get down with their drug trade, they got lawyers on speed dial.
Is there anything else?
These guys could have been businessmen, successful, and did something totally different and had a different life. They chose the drug trade instead.
We always believed the welcoming spirit was...
Yo, Vinny, I got the Jamaican, baby.
We've ID'd Wally Muhammad's killer as a guy known on the street as the Jamaican.
Okay.
While reviewing our victim's recent calls, we discover a contact in the phone listed as Jamaica.
So we now have a name.
Subscriber information on the same phone comes back to a person by the name of Kenroy Drummond.
Sounds like it's time to bust a move.
Israel.
We're thinking this has to be the Jamaican. We go to the address that's listed for that phone number in Northwest Atlanta and knock on the door.
Okay, so I'm Detective Vince Velasquez with APD Homicide. You are?
Jalissa Drummond.
The interesting thing is Jaleesa's got a Jamaican accent. We got to be at the right place because we're looking for the Jamaican, so maybe that's her husband, her son, her brother.
Hey, is Kenroy Drummond around?
I'm his mother. What's this about?
Jaleesa tells us that Kenroy Drummond is only 14 years old. So we're like, damn.
He's only 14 years old?
Yes.
This isn't making sense because when they did roll call, they identified a Jamaican as a man, not a young boy. We got to figure this out right now.
Okay, Jaleesa, so where was your son on December 27th?
We were out of town for the holidays.
She tells us he had nothing to do with anything involving a homicide. I mean, he's just a baby.
So a phone registered in your son's name is connected to our case.
Oh, so you're looking for Kenroy's father?
Okay. What's his name?
Deshaun. We haven't been together in a long time.
So we're thinking it's possible that maybe Deshaun just used his son's name to cloak his identity.
Where does Deshaun stay?
At the Economy Lodge on Moorland.
Thanks for your time.
It seems we have a new name for the Jamaican, Deshaun Drummond. After conversations with Jaleesa, we went back to the office and entered Deshaun's name into the database. We found out that he had some prior arrests, but they were all misdemeanors. But that also meant we had a photo of him.
We printed out his booking photo and headed over to the Economy Lodge where Jaleesa told us he lived. We spoke with the front desk clerk and actually showed him a picture of Deshaun.
He recognized him and said he no longer stayed there. However, he told us Deshaun works for a taxi company over on Flat Shoals Road. So at that point, we rushed over to the taxi cab company to see if we could find Deshaun Drummond. When we walk into this taxi company and we look into the break room, we see Deshaun. I'm like, there he is right there, eating lunch. I'm like, bingo, we got it. We're where we need to be right now.
We're with Homicide. We need to talk to you about a phone you been using.
We get right to business with Deshaun. We ask him about the phone number registered to his 14-year-old son.
On my phone, that I just put in my son name.
Immediately, I can hear his Jamaican accent. We might be face to face with the killer right now.
But me met my friend Barrett.
Okay, what's the friend's name?
Why you just go by the name the Jamaican?
He says that he met the Jamaican while, driving his cab. They kicked it off pretty cool because they had similar lineage.
When was the last time you let him borrow your phone?
Back in December. Matter of fact, the 27th.
We finally tell Deshaun the reason we're there.
So we're working a murder that happened on that day, December 27th. A man named Wally Muhammad.
Yeah, he tell me saying he shot a man from Bowler Crest.
This is huge. This brother just gave up the tapes on somebody that's a friend of his. He confessed for the guy we've yet to meet and have yet to identify.
Tell me everything that Jamaican said, exactly.
He just said something about some money. That's all I know.
Do you know if the Jamaican carries a gun?
Yeah, 357.
357? Now, isn't that the same caliber of bullet that we found in the Vic's pocket?
Yeah.
We're like, bam, that's it. We got 357 shell casings on our scene. All these pieces are coming together right now.
Okay, do you know where the Jamaican lives?
No, but Colleen might.
He doesn't know exactly where he is, but he does have the address for a girlfriend of Jamaican named Colleen.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you, man.
We want to get to Colleen's house, the girlfriend, and who knows, maybe the Jamaican will be there. She actually lives at the corner of Flat Shoals and Boulder Crest, not far, like literally a stone's throw from our crime scene.
We don't know what we're gonna find.
We could be walking right into the lion's den.
Yeah, he tell me saying he shot a man from Bowler Crest.
We're hot on the trail of Wally Muhammad's killer, a man known as the Jamaican. We speak to a guy that's actually friends with the Jamaican, and he tells us the Jamaican told him he did the murder.
Okay, do you know where the Jamaican lives?
No, but Colleen might.
We get an address for where the Jamaican's girlfriend lives, so we're headed over there, but we don't know what to expect.
Quinn and I got to be careful because we may be walking into a dangerous situation. Shooters and killers many times hide out at their girlfriend's house.
Colleen?
Yeah?
We're detectives with APD.
We get right to business. Ask Colleen, do you know where the Jamaican is? Is he around? Is he inside? She's like, no, I haven't seen him in a long time.
Okay, so he's your boyfriend, right?
Was. Not anymore. He's not here. Y'all can come inside and check.
Where is he?
I don't know. For real.
Of course, you know, the million-dollar question all along has been, who is the Jamaican? We ask her that.
I don't know his real name.
In my mind, I'm like, yeah, right. Okay, you've been dating this guy for years and you don't know his name, but we play along with it.
You know, Jamaica stopped by here.
She tells us on the day of the murder, the Jamaican actually showed up unannounced at her house.
He said he lost a gun and wanted my help finding it.
Murder weapon.
Right. Without question, that's our .357 missing handgun from the crime scene back on Boulder Crest.
Where?
In the woods.
What Colleen is saying is that he dropped this murder weapon running to her house after he killed our victim.
Did you find it?
No.
She actually went into the woods with him and spent an hour looking for the gun. They couldn't find it.
Did he tell you anything else about the murder?
No.
She says eventually a friend of the Jamaicans, a guy named Cyrus Hughley, showed up and picked him up, and she hadn't seen him since.
Thank you.
Now we got Colleen expanding our roll call. We gotta go find Cyrus Hughley and see if he tells us the truth. We finally get a bead on our guy, Cyrus Hughley. He agrees to come in and give a formal statement, so we're delighted.
What can you tell us about the dude that you picked up from Carlene's crib?
You mean Dredd?
On the day of the murder, our guy Cyrus says he gave a lift, an actual ride to a guy he knows is Dredd.
Guess he from Jamaica.
Dredd has gotta be Jamaican. It's gotta be the same person.
Where'd you take him?
I only took him to the fast food joint.
Okay. He tell you about the murder?
Murder? Hell no.
Said the Jamaican didn't say a word about it. He was cool as a cucumber.
See, I haven't seen him for a while until a few days ago when I was chilling with my friend KB.
He said the Jamaican knocked on the door. When KB opened the door, the Jamaican produces a handgun and robs him right there.
Can you have KB give us a call?
I sure can do that.
Thank you for your time, man.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Great day.
Now 5 minutes later, my phone rings.
Velasquez.
And it's KB. He's calling me to talk about this robbery that he was the victim of from the Jamaican.
So, what happened?
Dude put a gun in my face and stole $800 in cash and a gold necklace from me.
You tell the cops?
Nah, man.
KB doesn't want to file a police report even with us. I mean, he's just going to keep it ruthless, just like people do in the street.
Okay. How can we get in touch with you?
You can come find me.
KB is calling from a borrowed cell phone, so he doesn't even have a number to give us for contact purposes.
Come on.
And he said he drives an old Cadillac and always hangs around Moreland and Flat Shoals. He'll be easy to find.
Out of nowhere, we get an anonymous tip that the Jamaican has another girlfriend that lives on Panola Road over in DeKalb County. Our next step was we looked back at the phone records when the Jamaican made phone calls on Deshaun's phone.
On the day of the murder, we found calls from a female by the name of Patricia Fox. She has an address in Lithonia, which is not far from Panola Road.
This seemed way too close to be a coincidence. We go out to Lithonia, who we think is the Jamaican's other girlfriend. Clearly, she's a little older.
Patricia?
Yes.
We want to talk to you about your boyfriend, the Jamaican.
She says, you must be looking for my daughter, Melissa. She was dating a Jamaican guy. So now we know we're in the right spot.
I didn't approve of the relationship.
We'd love to talk to your daughter.
Melissa?
Just so happens she was home, so we asked, can we speak to her?
What's your boyfriend's name?
Nathaniel Payne, and we aren't together anymore.
This former girlfriend, Melissa, just unlocked our investigation. We now know the Jamaican is Nathaniel Payne.
Describe.
He's like 5'9", in his early 40s.
When did you last see him?
Not since the middle of January. Look, I really don't know where he is. I would tell you.
Here's my card. Call me if you see him.
We think we have some good information. We got Nathaniel Payne. So we leave Melissa at her house. We head back to the office.
hold with INS. You get anything?
On this guy in the database.
We sent a request to INS to check in their records that may show anything they have on a Jamaican coming to our country.
Yeah.
There's no records for Nathaniel Payne.
Okay, thanks.
But we're back to where we were when we started with just a nickname of a Jamaican.
Yeah, I'm telling you, Vinny, he played her.
We're thinking Nathaniel Payne may be just a name that he gave Melissa. Drug dealers lie all the time. Nathaniel Payne may just be another alias that he's going by.
Search the database for Dredd.
You know, Dredd, if you type in Dredd in any Metropolitan Police Department's database, you're gonna get hundreds of hits. People who have dreadlocks or Dredd-style hair usually go by that nickname.
Damn.
Okay. Try cross-referencing with Southeast Atlanta.
That's when we make an incredible discovery.
Oh, we got a hit, baby.
I don't believe this. This is happening again?
Describe him.
It's like 5'9" in his early 40s.
We finally have a name for Wally Muhammad's killer. After nearly 2 months into our investigation, we've identified the person known as a Jamaican as being Nathaniel Payne.
There's nothing on this guy in the database.
We've been searching this name endlessly, working, trying to figure it out. It may not even be him.
Search the database for Dredd.
Yo, we got a hit, baby.
I see the initials KB. It's a robbery, but I remember KB didn't report the robbery.
Yo, did KB lie to us?
Not technically.
When I look at the date, it's a whole new robbery. The Jamaican, aka Dredd, robbed KB for a second time.
So it happened again?
Yeah, but this time he filed a report.
Okay, so he knocked over the same guy twice in a matter of days.
This Joker is doing things that are uncharacteristic of people in the city, after they do a murder. He's burning bridges as he goes. He may be packing bags to leave town. We gotta act fast.
That was 12 hours ago.
Yeah.
It just happened. It's fresh.
KB said he hangs out where?
Moreland and Flatshore.
The Jamaican is still here, and we need to go see KB because he may know where the Jamaican is.
Let's run.
We roll over to Flatshores in Moreland. We see an old beat-up, crappy Cadillac, and it's KB sitting right there.
Hey, KB. We'll holler at you. Come on.
All right, so what happened last night? This girl I know, Tina, called me last night. Wanted me to come to this place up in Kirkwood.
He's known Tina for a while. So, he's not thinking anything of it. He shows up over in Kirkwood, knocks on the door, and there's Dredd again with a gun in his hand and robs him of his money again.
And got me good, man. Robbed me just like last time.
This sounds like a setup, and that's exactly what KB felt. He couldn't believe that Dredd has targeted him twice already. So he's mad.
I had to call the cops on him. What's the address where this happened? 90 Rogers Street.
All right, yeah, we got to do.
Thanks, man.
We're still in real time as far as our hunt down for the Jamaican known as Nathaniel Payne. We're hoping he's still there. I'm driving up to the residence, and me and Vince are looking at a female right on the property of 90 Rogers Street. She's at the mailbox, and she's not concentrating on her business. She's concentrating on us.
I think we have a lookout.
We know.
Vince is going to follow behind this female. So I run around to the back.
Excuse me, miss?
Just to make sure if the Jamaican's there, he didn't run out the back door.
Hold up a second, let me talk to you. Where you going?
Something in my gut told me this guy's probably inside the house, and she's trying to figure out what to do.
Watch yourself, Vinny.
I said, hold up a second. You hear me? Stop!
She wouldn't turn around.
I got my partner on my radio. I can hear if anything goes south.
Hey!
When she got to the door, that's when she turned around to see exactly where I was. And the hair on the back of my neck stood up. I knew something wasn't right. And as the door opens up, not 2 feet inside the doorway, do I see a man just frozen, staring at me. And at that moment, I knew that was the Jamaican.
Let me see her.
He immediately turned around and started running.
Stop!
Against all training, against everything that I know I should not do. I ran into that house.
Let me see your hands.
Can't let him go. I pulled my gun out, and I needed 2 hands on this thing, because if I had to unload and reload with another clip, I was ready to go.
I'm at the back door. I don't hear anything.
Stop! Don't move! Let me see your hand.
My gun is punched out, and I'm screaming commands at this guy to show me his hands. I cannot see his right hand.
Let me see your hands. If I don't see your hands,
don't move. Don't move. All hell broke loose, and I just hear all this screaming.
Last chance. Let me see those hands.
So now I'm face to face with this killer who, in my mind, is armed, and he is going to shoot me and kill me. Never felt that.
Let me see your hand.
My focus was on his right hand, and I could see it moving. And all of this is happening in a split second.
Last chance.
We tracked down Wali Muhammad's killer,
Stop.
Nathaniel Payne.
Let me see your hands.
When he took off running, I knew I couldn't let him go. This guy has killed one person at least, has robbed the same guy twice, and who knows what other damage he's done.
If I don't see your hands.
But now, I'm in a life or death situation. This is like slow motion.
Let me see your hands.
And I'm thinking I'm gonna get shot or shoot somebody because I certainly don't want to die, and I don't want to take a life. He knew at that moment I was about to shoot him, and I was.
Please don't shoot, boss. On the ground. Get on the ground. Nice and easy.
Had he not pulled that hand out, we may not have a case here today.
Vinny, over here.
But thank God he showed all 10 fingers, and he allowed me to handcuff him safely. And true to form, he had a 9mm tucked in his waistband.
You got it?
Yeah.
There's one in the chamber, Vinny.
He was probably going to take the chance of shooting a government official, and he just changed his mind. Whether it was God or just good sense, I'm glad he made the right decision.
What's your name? Daniel Lindell Payne.
Confirmation that this indeed is our homicide suspect, also known as the Jamaican.
It's down to have a sit down. We're hoping this guy's going to talk to him. Me and my partner know he's doing the interview alone.
So, you agreed to waive your right to counsel?
Yes.
He wants to talk to me, and without hesitation, I start to ask him questions about the Wali Muhammad homicide.
I shot him. I admit it. Me have nothing to hide.
Okay, walk me through it.
It all started because money was missing from the house. They thought I was stealing, and they were going to kill me. And it was all going down before the end of the year.
And now on December 27th, Wali Muhammad shows up at the trap house. He's already on high alert. He's always carrying his piece. He's ready because that's the tool of the trade if you're a drug dealer.
I was scared. I thought he was out to get me. So Wally walks in and says he wants my gun.
What gun?
The .357 I bought from Wally.
There was a controversy about the gun that he actually purchased from the victim that he didn't finish paying for it. So then it became heated. And that's supported by the witness Eugene, who's in the driveway, who hears shouting.
I told him, it's mine. I'm not giving it to him.
Our victim posturing, according to Nathaniel Payne, that he was going for a gun. So he reacted. He pulled out his own weapon and shot the victim first.
He was going to kill me. That's why I shot him.
How many times did you pull the trigger?
Me nah know. Me was scared. It was self-defense.
Now, Nathaniel, I appreciate you telling me what happened, but I want you to know, Wally didn't have a gun.
Nathaniel Payne says that he saw our victim reaching under his shirt as if he's pulling a gun out. But when we recall back when we processed the crime scene, our victim didn't have a gun.
Nathaniel Payne killed our victim, Wali Muhammad. I mean, that's not even in dispute. The rest is up to a jury.
Let's get you to booking. Come on.
Thank you. You treated me with respect and honor.
He says, you know, I've never really had a conversation like I just did with any police officer ever in my entire life. And you seem like a nice guy. And I said, okay, well, thank you. But why are you telling me this?
I'm glad I didn't kill you at the house.
This is a man basically telling me that he was going to murder me, and that now that he knows who I am, he would have felt bad about it.
Thanks for not going for your gun. Come on.
The most bizarre conversation I've ever had in my entire police career.
Nathaniel Payne is charged with the murder of Wally Muhammad.
Nathaniel Payne was taken to the DeKalb County Jail and fingerprinted. We ran his prints and found out there's a match in the national database for a warrant for murder out of Cleveland, Ohio. We found out that this case involved a man shot to death in 2001 in the city of Cleveland. The suspect in that case was a Jamaican man named Calvin Morrison.
Cleveland Homicide sent us a picture of Calvin Morrison, and sure enough, it was Nathaniel Payne. It's clear this guy's got many aliases, so who knows what his real name is.
In 2005, Nathaniel Payne goes on trial in Fulton County for the murder of our victim, Wally Muhammad. This trial goes on for over a week, and when the jury comes back with a verdict, it's not guilty. We know for a fact that Nathaniel Payne pulled the trigger and killed our victim, Wally Muhammad, but his self-defense